your tape rule. As a fashion designer or a fashion student, whichever applies to you, you know that your tape rule is the first, I think the most important tool in your sewing journey after your sewing machine. So you need to understand how and what each line on the tape rule, what you represent. Because if you're not able to measure, if you don't know how to understand your tape rule, you will not be able to measure accurately. And of course, you know that if you don't measure accurately, your outfit is going to come out inaccurately. So it is very important that we lay these foundations so that as a beginner, you'll be able to read this tape rule in order to make amazing designs. All right, let's just go right into it. This is a diagram showing what your tape rule looks like, and then I had to calibrate it into the decimal and the fraction. So on your tape, for each 1 inch you have 8 lines. For each 1 inch you have 8 lines, and what each line represents in decimal, it's in your decimal, it means 0.125, and in fraction, of course, like our elementary mathematics, it's 1/8. So which means when you punch your calculator, 1/8 is equal to 0.125. So you keep adding 0.125 on each line before you till you get to the 8th line, and that will give you 1. So you add 0.125 plus 0.125, it will give you 0.25. 0.25 plus 0.125 will give you 0.375. 0.375 plus 0.125 will give you 0.5. And 0.5 plus 0.125 will give you 0.625. And 0.625 plus 0.125 will give you 0.75. 0.75 plus 0.125 will give you 0.875, and 0.875 plus 0.125 will give you 1. So when you punch your calculator, all these things here represent this in your decimal points. So I hope that you've been able to understand what each line represents. And then when you are reading, when you're measuring your client and you come in contact with or placing your measurement on any of the lines, you know what you represent. All right, without further ado, let's get right into taking your measurements properly, taking accurate body measurements. See ya. Hi guys, so I'm going to be taking us through the process of taking an accurate, complete body measurement. In my previous video, I used a mannequin, but in today's video, I'm going to be showing you using a human being, of course. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Okay, hi guys. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to take accurate body measurement. Here with me is my model, so I'm going to be using her to show you how to measure accurately. So first things first, you want to ensure that you tell your client or whoever that you're going to be measuring not to wear loose fitted clothing when taking measurements. There are basic rules that apply when you want to ensure that you take proper body measurement, and one of them is ensure that your client wears a fitted garment. Secondly, you want to ensure that your client is wearing a firm fitting bra. And thirdly, you want to ensure that your client is standing straight and is not slouching or tilting or just standing inappropriately. All right, now to take our shoulder measurement, your shoulder measurement is from the joints, the parts where your hand joins to your shoulder, that's movable place, that's where you're going to be measuring your shoulder from. Your shoulder measurement from one shoulder to the other, and that is about that. Then we head on to taking our bust measurement.
Now, when taking your bust measurement, you want to ensure that your measuring tape is placed on the fullest part of your bust, and not on top and not beneath, on the fullest part of your bust, right? So that is that about taking measurement. And also you want to ensure that you have a finger, one of the finger in between your tape and the client's body to ensure, to allow for ease. All right, now that is that about that. Now to take your under bust circumference, right? your your measurement should be firm but not tight. What did I say? Firm but not tight. You don't want to choke your client, right? So this is that about that. Your measurement should be firm but not tight. That is that about the under bust measurement. Now you want to take your shoulder to under bust. And when taking this measurement, you want to ensure that you push the bust a bit up. You tilt it up to ensure that you have that cupped effect, right? There's a lot of difference this makes when taking your measurement. You want to ensure that when you are making bustiers, that curvy effect comes out the way it ought to, right? Now that is that about that. You want to ensure when you're taking your shoulder to your under bust, you want to tilt the bust, like that push-up effect on your bust area. Now that is that about. Now when it comes to your waist measurement, we have two measurements. We have your true waistline and your lower waist. Now this true waistline is the area around the boneless part of your body. Now you want to know that by tilting sideways, either to the left or to the right, and then you want to tie a rope like or a tape or something around this area to ensure that you get that measurement accurately. So this is it. This is her true waistline. It's boneless, and then when you place your hand, you feel that there's this flesh-like feel. You don't feel any bones around that area. And that is that about measuring your true waistline. Now for the lower waist, this is the place that has some bones around your lower abdomen, right? So you want to ensure you take that measurement firmly. And whilst taking these measurements, especially for your true waistline, you want to ask your client if they are full, because most people tend to have protruding tummy when they've had something to eat. So you want to factor that in when you're measuring your client, all right? Also, when you want to take your measurement for your hip, you want to ensure that your tape is around the fullest part of your butt, right? And your measurement is not on the upper hip or the lower hip, but on your hip, which is the fullest part of your butt. All right, I hope you understand. Now, secondly, you want to take the measurements for the length, wherever the length of the outfit you want to wear, wherever it wants to reach. If it is a short gown length, if it is a mini gown, if it's a three-quarter, if it's long. But note that anytime you are taking anything that has to do with long, the standard is floor level. If possible, you want to tell your client to tiptoe. By tiptoeing, you want to factor in the fact that your client is going to be wearing a heeled shoe or something to add up to the height of the client. All right. Now I want to go to taking our sleeve measurement. So when you want to take your sleeve measurements, you want to tell your client to stand at hands akimbo when taking this measurement, right? You want to factor that in when taking your client's measurement. So you measure, if it's a long sleeve, you measure from the joint here on the shoulder up to the wrist, whatever it gives you, depending on the kind of sleeve and the length of the sleeve you want to make for your client. Now, when you want to take your elbow measurement, also, you want to ensure that your client stands at hands akimbo. Reason being that this joint is a movable joint, it's a movable joint. So if you take your measurement this way, your client might end up not being able to have that back and forth movement, like that freedom to move the arm when when she eventually wears the sleeve. So usually you see most people having this problem around the wrist. So this is because the measurement was not taken this way. So you want to factor this in when taking your elbow measurement. And this measurement also applies when you are taking your trouser. Sure that this place is free for back and forth movement. Now, when you want to take your wrist measurement, it is wrong for you to take your wrist measurement here. It is wrong. You don't do that because your hand goes in first.